My 30th birthday was supposed to be special. After months of planning the perfect family gathering, I received a group text that made my blood run cold. "Sorry, can't make it to your party. Something came up." One by one, they all canceled. My parents, my siblings, even my closest cousins. But what they didn't know was that I had already discovered the real reason they weren't coming, and my response would change everything forever. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. The birthday invitations had gone out 6 weeks early. Elegant cream cardstock with gold lettering, the kind of invitations my mother always admired when she saw them at other people's parties. "Celebrating Sarah's 30th birthday," they read, with the date circled in gold foil. "Join us for dinner, dancing, and memories that will last a lifetime." I'd booked the private dining room at Romano's, the Italian restaurant where my family had celebrated every major milestone for the past 15 years. 24 guests confirmed, including my parents David and Linda, my brother Michael and his wife Ashley, my sister Jennifer with her husband Mark, and a collection of aunts, uncles, and cousins who'd been part of every important moment in my life. The menu was carefully planned around everyone's preferences. My father's favorite osso buco, my mother's beloved tiramisu, vegetarian options for Jennifer, and the famous bread pudding that had made my brother propose to Ashley in that very restaurant 3 years earlier. I'd even arranged for the pianist to play "The Way You Look Tonight," the song my parents had danced to at their wedding 35 years ago. Standing in my apartment kitchen the morning of my birthday, I felt genuinely excited for the first time in months. Work had been stressful, my recent breakup still stung, and turning 30 felt like crossing some invisible threshold into real adulthood. But tonight would be perfect. Tonight, I'd be surrounded by the people who mattered most, celebrating not just another year of life, but the bonds that had carried me through everything. My phone buzzed with a text message at exactly 11:47 a.m. The notification showed my mother's contact photo, her smiling face from last Christmas when she'd insisted on family pictures by the tree. I opened the message expecting last-minute questions about timing or parking. "Honey, I'm so sorry, but we won't be able to make it tonight. Your father isn't feeling well and we don't want to risk getting anyone sick. Have a wonderful celebration without us. Love you." The kitchen suddenly felt colder. Dad getting sick happened occasionally. His diabetes sometimes knocked him down unexpectedly, but the timing felt cruel. Still, I understood. Health came first. Always. I started typing a response about maybe rescheduling when another message appeared. This time from Michael. "Sarah, hate to do this last minute, but Ashley's mom had an emergency and we need to drive to Philadelphia immediately. Rain check on the birthday dinner? Sorry, sis." My fingers tightened around the phone. 2 cancellations within minutes felt like more than coincidence, but family emergencies happened. These things couldn't be predicted or controlled. I tried to push down the growing knot in my stomach. Jennifer's message arrived before I could fully process Michael's excuse. "Sarah, I feel terrible about this, but Mark's boss scheduled a mandatory work dinner tonight that we just found out about. I know the timing is horrible. Can we take you out this weekend instead?" 3 cancellations, 3 separate, urgent, unavoidable conflicts that had somehow materialized on the morning of my 30th birthday. The pattern was too obvious to ignore, but too painful to fully accept. I scrolled through my phone contacts, calling my cousin Lisa, the one family member who always told me the truth even when it hurt. "Lisa, did you get my messages about tonight's dinner? My parents and siblings all just canceled with different emergencies." A pause that lasted too long. When Lisa spoke, her voice carried that careful tone people use when they're about to deliver bad news. "Sarah, I need to tell you something, and you're not going to like it." "What do you mean?" "Your family is having dinner tonight. All of them. At your parents' house. They're celebrating your cousin Rachel's engagement." The words hit like a physical blow. Rachel, my father's brother's daughter who lived in California and visited maybe twice a year. Rachel, who'd gotten engaged 2 months ago and could have announced it any time. Rachel, whose celebration had somehow become more important than my milestone birthday. "They're all there?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. "Everyone who canceled on you, plus about 15 other relatives. Your mom has been cooking all week. There's a whole engagement party set up in the backyard with lights and decorations." Lisa's voice softened. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I thought you knew. I thought maybe you'd chosen Rachel's party over your own birthday dinner." I hung up and sat in my kitchen chair, staring at the birthday outfit I'd laid out that morning. A navy dress that brought out my eyes, the pearl necklace my grandmother had left me, shoes that were beautiful but hurt after 2 hours of wearing. All chosen to look perfect for a celebration that my own family had abandoned for someone else's moment. The restaurant reservation was for 6 p.m. 24 confirmed guests, now reduced to perhaps 8 friends who weren't related to me by blood. The private dining room with its elegant table settings and custom menu would look ridiculous with so few people rattling around in a space meant for intimate family gathering. I could cancel everything. Call Romano's, apologize for the short notice, pay whatever penalty they charged, and spend my 30th birthday alone with takeout and old movies. The safe choice. The dignified choice. The choice that would let my family pretend their betrayal hadn't happened. Or I could do something else entirely. My laptop sat on the kitchen counter where I'd left it after confirming final details with the restaurant. I opened it and began typing, my fingers moving faster than my conscious mind could plan. If my family wanted to play games with loyalty and priorities, they were about to learn that I was better at this than they imagined. 20 minutes later, I had a list of names and email addresses. David Miller, Senior Account Executive at Bradley Associates Marketing. Linda Miller, Head of Human Resources at Metropolitan Insurance Company. Michael Miller, Junior Partner at Steinberg, Rodriguez Klein Law Firm. Ashley Miller, Marketing Director at Premier Real Estate Solutions. Jennifer Park, Chief Financial Officer at Riverside Medical Group. Mark Park, Senior Software Engineer at Technova Systems. Every member of my family who had chosen Rachel's engagement party over my birthday worked for companies with professional reputations to maintain. Companies that valued family loyalty, employee integrity, and personal reliability. Companies that might be very interested to know how their valued employees handled family commitments. I opened a new email composition window and began typing. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Miller, and I'm writing to inform you about an employee recognition opportunity that I believe would interest your organization. Tonight, several of your team members are demonstrating extraordinary dedication to family values by attending a surprise celebration in my honor. I'm hosting a small gathering at Romano's restaurant to celebrate my 30th birthday, and I was so moved by your employees' commitment to family priorities that I wanted to invite their supervisors to join us in recognizing this dedication. Please consider this a personal invitation to attend tonight's dinner at 6 p.m. in the private dining room. I believe strongly that when employees show exceptional character in their personal lives, their professional community should take notice. Tonight's celebration would be a perfect opportunity to see your team members' values in action. Warm regards, Sarah Miller. I read the email 3 times, adjusting the tone to sound grateful rather than vindictive, enthusiastic rather than sarcastic. The message could be interpreted as genuine appreciation by anyone who didn't know the full story. But my family would understand exactly what I'd done the moment their bosses showed up asking about the birthday celebration they were supposed to be attending. The cursor hovered over the send button. Once I clicked it, there would be no taking it back. My family's professional reputations would be on the line, their relationships with supervisors potentially damaged, their carefully maintained image of reliability called into question. They had abandoned me for someone else's party, choosing convenience over loyalty, treating my milestone birthday like an optional obligation they could skip without consequences. Maybe it was time they learned that actions had results, that betraying family trust came with a price. I clicked send and watched 6 emails disappear into cyberspace, carrying my invitation to the bosses of every family member who had broken my heart that morning. My phone immediately buzzed with text messages from friends asking if the dinner was still happening. I responded to each one. Absolutely. 6 p.m. at Romano's. Can't wait to see you there. But now I had a problem. 8 friends plus however many supervisors decided to show up would still look strange in a room reserved for 24 people. The empty chairs would tell their own story, and I didn't want my birthday celebration to feel like a monument to abandonment. I opened my laptop again and began scrolling through social media, looking for people who might appreciate a last-minute invitation to dinner at one of the city's best restaurants, colleagues from work who had always been kind but never quite crossed the line into friendship, neighbors who had helped with packages and small favors over the years, the barista from my coffee shop who always remembered my order and asked about my day. Hi everyone, I posted on my Facebook page. Having a last-minute birthday celebration tonight at Romano's restaurant, 6 p.m. in the private dining room. If you're free and want to join me for great food and good company, please let me know. Would love to see you there. Within 30 minutes, my phone was buzzing with responses. 12 additional confirmations from people who seemed genuinely excited about the unexpected invitation. My coworker James, who had been fighting with his wife and was grateful for somewhere to go. My neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez, whose children lived across the country and who rarely got invited to celebrations anymore. The young couple from the apartment below me, who were new to the city and thrilled to be included in something special. By 4 p.m., I had 23 confirmed guests for my birthday dinner. None of them were related to me by blood, but all of them had chosen to prioritize my celebration over whatever else they could have been doing that evening. I showered and dressed carefully, taking extra time with my makeup and hair. The navy dress looked perfect, the pearls caught the light beautifully, and the painful shoes would be worth it for one night of feeling celebrated by people who actually wanted to be there. At 5:30, I called an Uber to take me to Romano's. As the car pulled up to the restaurant's elegant entrance, I could see warm lights spilling from the windows of the private dining room. Through the glass, I glimpsed people already gathering around cocktail tables, talking and laughing, the kind of animated conversation that happens when strangers discover they have more in common than expected. The hostess greeted me with genuine warmth. "Miss Miller, your guests have been arriving for the past 20 minutes. They all seem so excited to celebrate with you. Should we wait a few more minutes for the rest of your party?" "Everyone who's coming is here," I replied, surprised by how confident my voice sounded. "Let's get this celebration started." Walking into that private dining room felt like entering a parallel universe where my birthday actually mattered to the people present. James from work was deep in conversation with Mrs. Rodriguez about gardening techniques. The young couple from downstairs was comparing travel stories with my college friend Monica. My coffee shop barista, whose name I'd finally learned was David, was discussing restaurant management with someone I'd invited from my yoga class. The room buzzed with energy I'd never experienced at family gatherings, where conversation often felt obligatory and joy seemed rationed. These people were here by choice, excited to be part of something unexpected and special. "Sarah." Monica appeared at my elbow with a glass of champagne. "I don't know how you manage this, but this is the most interesting group of people I've met in years. Your neighbor has been to 37 countries, and that guy from your coffee shop is starting his own catering business." I accepted the champagne and surveyed the room, feeling genuinely happy for the first time all day. Every chair was filled with someone who had chosen to be there, someone who valued my celebration enough to rearrange their evening, someone who understood that showing up for people mattered. That's when I noticed him. A tall man in an expensive suit standing near the entrance, looking around the room with obvious confusion. He approached the hostess, spoke quietly for a moment, then began walking toward me with purpose. "Excuse me, are you Sarah Miller?" "Yes, I am. I'm Richard Bradley, from Bradley Associates Marketing. I received your email about celebrating my employee David Miller's dedication to family values. I was hoping to meet with him and congratulate him personally." The champagne suddenly tasted flat in my mouth. One of my family's bosses had actually shown up. The plan I'd crafted in anger was about to become very real, very quickly. "Mr. Bradley," I managed, keeping my voice steady. "Thank you so much for coming. I'm afraid David Miller couldn't make it tonight after all. He came down with a sudden illness." Mr. Bradley's eyebrows rose. "That's strange. I just saw David at the office this afternoon and he seemed perfectly healthy. He mentioned he was looking forward to a family celebration this evening." Before I could respond, another unfamiliar face appeared beside Mr. Bradley. A woman in her 50s wearing a crisp business suit and carrying herself with the authority of someone accustomed to management. "I'm looking for Jennifer Park," she announced. "I'm Susan Chen, her supervisor at Riverside Medical Group. I received an invitation to celebrate her commitment to family values, and I wanted to personally recognize her dedication." My throat felt dry. 2 supervisors had shown up, both looking for family members who were currently at my parents' house celebrating someone else's engagement instead of attending their own sister's birthday dinner. The room around me continued its cheerful buzz, my real guests enjoying each other's company while completely unaware that my carefully planned revenge was about to explode in spectacular fashion. I had approximately 30 seconds to decide how to handle this situation before everything spiraled completely out of control. Moments stretched like elastic about to snap. Mr. Bradley and Miss Chen stared at me expectantly, waiting for explanations about employees who weren't there. Around us, my actual guests continued their animated conversations, completely unaware that my birthday celebration was about to become ground zero for a family catastrophe I'd orchestrated in a moment of hurt and anger. "I'm so sorry," I began carefully, my mind racing through possible explanations. "There seems to have been some confusion about tonight's event." Before I could finish the thought, my phone erupted with incoming calls. Michael's name flashed on the screen, then Jennifer's, then my father's. They were calling simultaneously, which could only mean one thing. More of their supervisors had received my emails and were asking questions. Miss Chen checked her own phone and frowned. "That's odd. I just received a text from Jennifer saying she's dealing with a work emergency tonight, but you invited me here to celebrate her family commitment. I'm confused about the timing." Mr. Bradley nodded in agreement. "David told me he was excited about a family celebration. When your email arrived praising his dedication to family values, I assumed this was that celebration." The irony was so perfect it felt scripted. My family's bosses were more committed to showing up for my birthday than my own relatives were. These professional strangers had rearranged their evening schedules based on my invitation, while my parents, siblings, and extended family had chosen someone else's engagement party over my milestone celebration. "You know what?" I heard myself saying, surprising myself with the steadiness of my voice. "Why don't you join us for dinner? I'd love to have you here, and I think there's something you should know about your employees' actual family commitments tonight." I guided Mr. Bradley and Miss Chen to the bar area, away from my other guests, and ordered them drinks. The private dining room's warm lighting made everything feel more intimate, more conspiratorial. Whatever was about to happen, it would happen among people who had chosen to be here. "The truth is," I began slowly, "David Miller is my father. Jennifer Park is my sister. Michael Miller, whose supervisor probably received a similar email, is my brother. And none of them are here tonight because they all canceled on my 30th birthday celebration to attend my cousin's engagement party instead." Miss Chen's expression shifted from confusion to understanding to something that looked like professional concern. "Wait, your family canceled on your birthday? All of them?" "Every single relative I invited. Parents, siblings, their spouses, aunts, uncles, cousins. They all sent last-minute excuses about emergencies and work conflicts, but I found out they're all at my parents' house right now, celebrating my cousin Rachel's engagement with a backyard party that's been planned for weeks." Mr. Bradley set down his drink with deliberate precision. "So when you sent that email praising David's commitment to family values, I was hoping you'd show up and ask him about it. I wanted him to have to explain why he chose someone else's celebration over his own daughter's birthday." I took a breath, feeling the weight of what I'd done. I know it was petty. I know it was wrong, but I was hurt and angry, and I wanted them to face consequences for treating me like I didn't matter. The silence stretched between us as both supervisors processed this information. Around us, my real guests were being seated at the beautifully appointed dining table, chatting excitedly about the menu and complimenting the restaurant's elegant ambience. Miss Chen spoke first. "Jennifer has always presented herself as extremely family-oriented. She frequently requests time off for family obligations, talks about family loyalty during team meetings, even used her close family relationships as examples during her interview for the CFO position." Mr. Bradley nodded grimly. "David does the same thing. Just last month he left work early, claiming he had to attend his daughter's important milestone celebration. I assumed that was you." "It wasn't me. It was probably another cousin's graduation or my brother's work promotion party. There's always something more important than including me." The words came out more bitter than I intended, but they felt true. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from my mother. "Sarah, honey, we need to talk. Did you invite David's boss to your birthday dinner? Mr. Bradley just called asking where your father was tonight. This is causing problems." I showed the message to Mr. Bradley, who grimaced. "I called David when I arrived and couldn't find him. He sounded panicked when I said I was at his daughter Sarah's birthday celebration. He claimed he was sick, but I could hear party sounds in the background." Party sounds from my cousin's engagement celebration, the one that was apparently more important than their own child's 30th birthday. I felt tears threatening but pushed them back. This wasn't the time for crying. This was the time for truth. Miss Chen pulled out her phone. I should probably call Jennifer and ask about this work emergency she mentioned. Professional integrity matters in my organization. Wait, I said quickly. Before you do that, I want you to know something. I invited both of you here because I was hurt and wanted revenge. But now that you're here, now that I see you actually showed up for a stranger's birthday celebration when my own family wouldn't, I realize this isn't about punishing them. It's about understanding what real commitment looks like. I gestured toward the dining room where my guests were settling into their seats. Look at these people. My coworker James, who's going through a divorce but still made time to celebrate with me. My elderly neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez, who took 2 buses to get here because she said birthdays matter. My barista David, who closed his coffee shop early to attend. None of them are obligated to be here, but they chose to show up because they believe people deserve to feel valued on their special day. Mr. Bradley followed my gaze to the table where strangers were becoming friends over shared appetizers and birthday celebration. These people all came tonight? Just because you invited them? Most of them responded within hours of my Facebook post. They rearranged dinner plans, canceled other commitments, some even brought gifts for someone they barely knew. They understood something my family doesn't. Showing matters, keeping promises matters, making people feel valued matters. The hostess approached our small group with professional politeness. Miss Miller, your guests are seated and ready for the first course. Should we begin serving? Yes, please, and could you set 2 additional places? Mr. Bradley and Miss Chen will be joining us. Both supervisors looked surprised. Miss Chen spoke first. That's very kind, but we shouldn't intrude on your celebration. You're not intruding. You're the only people connected to my family who actually honored their commitment to be here tonight. That makes you exactly the kind of guests I want at my table. As we walked toward the dining room, my phone buzzed with multiple text messages. Michael. Sarah, Ashley's boss is asking about our family emergency. What did you do? Jennifer. My supervisor wants to meet with me first thing Monday about professional ethics. We need to talk. My father. Sweetheart, Mr. Bradley is asking very uncomfortable questions about family priorities. Please call me. I turned off my phone without responding and took my seat at the head of the table. Mr. Bradley sat to my right, Miss Chen to my left, and around us 21 other people who had chosen to make my birthday celebration a priority. Before we eat, I announced, raising my champagne glass, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. 6 months ago, if someone had told me I'd be celebrating my 30th birthday with this incredible group of people, I would have said they were crazy. But tonight has taught me something important about the difference between obligation and choice, between family by blood and family by commitment. James raised his glass. To Sarah, for throwing the most interesting dinner party I've ever attended. Mrs. Rodriguez added, to new friendships and beautiful celebrations. David the barista chimed in, to people who know how to bring strangers together and make them feel welcome. Mr. Bradley looked around the table, then raised his own glass. To understanding what real family values actually look like. As we began eating Romano's exquisite dinner, conversation flowed like water finding its natural course. Miss Chen discovered she had traveled to many of the same places as the young couple from my apartment building. James and Mrs. Rodriguez bonded over their shared love of mystery novels. Mr. Bradley found himself deep in discussion with David the barista about small business challenges and opportunities. Halfway through the main course, I noticed something remarkable happening. These people weren't just being polite to strangers at a birthday dinner. They were genuinely connecting, exchanging contact information, making plans to meet for coffee or attend events together. My spontaneous invitation had created something larger than a birthday celebration. It had created a community. Sarah, Miss Chen said quietly during a lull in conversation. I need to ask you something. What do you want me to do about Jennifer? From a professional standpoint, claiming a work emergency while attending a family party is concerning, especially when she abandoned a family obligation to do it. I considered the question while watching my guests enjoy each other's company. The revenge I'd planned that morning felt distant now, less important than the unexpected joy surrounding me. I want you to tell her the truth, I said finally. That you attended her sister's birthday celebration because you believed family commitments mattered to her, that you wanted to recognize employees who prioritize family values, and then I want you to let her explain why she wasn't here. Mr. Bradley leaned forward. And David? How should I handle his situation? The same way. Tell him you came to celebrate his dedication to his daughter's milestone birthday. Ask him to explain why he was somewhere else. Let him decide how to respond to that conversation. The dessert course arrived with full ceremony. Romano's pastry chef had prepared a custom birthday cake, 3 layers of chocolate perfection topped with sugar flowers and gold leaf. As the lights dimmed and the staff began singing Happy Birthday, I looked around the table at faces illuminated by candlelight. These people had shown me what celebration really looked like. Not obligation disguised as affection, not attendance purchased by family guilt, but genuine joy shared freely by people who chose to be present for someone else's happiness. After the cake was cut and shared, after the final toasts were made and the last glasses emptied, my guests began the reluctant process of ending a perfect evening. Contact information was exchanged, future plans were made, promises to stay in touch were offered and accepted with sincerity. Mrs. Rodriguez hugged me goodbye with tears in her eyes. Mija, this was the most beautiful party I've attended in years. You have a gift for bringing people together. James shook my hand warmly. I came here tonight feeling pretty cynical about people in general. You've reminded me that kindness still exists in the world. David the barista handed me his business card. I'm catering a small event next month. Would you help me plan it? You clearly understand how to make people feel valued. One by one, my guests departed into the night, each leaving me with the sense that I'd gained something far more valuable than I'd lost. By 10 p.m., only Mr. Bradley, Miss Chen, and I remained in the private dining room. Sarah, Mr. Bradley said as we prepared to leave. I've been thinking about tonight, about what it means from a professional perspective. David has always talked about family values, but values are demonstrated through actions, not words. Tonight showed me the difference. Miss Chen nodded. Jennifer is going to have some difficult questions to answer on Monday morning, but more than that, she's going to have to confront what her choices say about her character. That's a conversation she needs to have with herself, not just with me. As we walked out of Romano's together, I felt lighter than I had in months. The hurt from that morning's cancellations remained, but it no longer defined the day. Instead, I'd discovered something unexpected. A community of people who understood that showing up matters, that keeping commitments matters, that making others feel valued matters. My phone had accumulated 17 missed calls and 43 text messages from family members demanding explanations, requesting damage control, begging for mercy from the professional consequences of their choices. I scrolled through them briefly, then put the phone away without responding. Tomorrow I would deal with the fallout. Tomorrow I would have difficult conversations about trust and priorities and what family really means. Tomorrow I would decide whether relationships built on obligation were worth preserving. But tonight, I went home to my modest apartment knowing I had celebrated my 30th birthday exactly the way it should be celebrated. Surrounded by people who chose to be there, who valued my happiness, who understood that birthdays are about honoring the people we care about. As I changed out of my navy dress and hung up my grandmother's pearls, I caught my reflection in the bedroom mirror. I looked different somehow, more confident, more aware of my own worth, more certain about what I deserved from the people in my life. 3 months later, I received an invitation to my cousin Rachel's wedding, a formal card with elegant script requesting my presence at their celebration of love and commitment. I read it carefully, then placed it in my desk drawer with all the other family obligations that demanded my attendance while offering nothing in return. Instead, I spent that weekend at David the barista's catering event, helping him coordinate his first major business venture. Mrs. Rodriguez was there too, having become David's unofficial grandmother and marketing advisor. James brought his new girlfriend, who fit seamlessly into our growing circle of chosen family. We laughed, we worked together, we celebrated David's success, and we made plans for future gatherings. No one mentioned blood relations or family obligations or guilt-based attendance requirements. We simply enjoyed each other's company because we wanted to be there. That evening, as we cleaned up after the successful event, Mrs. Rodriguez pulled me aside. "Mija, do you know what you did that night at your birthday dinner? You showed all of us what real family looks like. Not people connected by accident of birth, but people connected by choice, by shared values, by genuine care for each other's well-being." 6 months after my 30th birthday celebration, I've built a family of choice that spans generations, professions, and backgrounds. We celebrate each other's milestones, support each other through challenges, and show up when it matters because we want to, not because we have to. My blood relatives still send holiday cards and birthday messages, still extend invitations to their important events, still act as if nothing significant happened that night at Romano's. But something did happen. I learned the difference between people who claim to love you and people who demonstrate love through action. I learned that family is a choice, not an obligation. That celebration shared freely is more meaningful than attendance demanded by guilt. That showing up matters, keeping promises matters, and making people feel valued matters more than shared DNA or childhood history. And I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment or confrontation or dramatic declarations of independence. Sometimes the best revenge is simply building a better life with better people and never looking back. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about family loyalty in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between blood family and chosen family? Let us know your experiences below.